Oil and gas prices surged again on Monday as a new poll showed Americans overwhelmingly opposed to the war in Iran, which has already resulted in higher prices for almost everything and the collapse of a major airline. But don't worry, Donald Trump announced a plan to fix the situation by guiding tankers through the Strait of Hormuz without sparking a new round of fighting. And even though the details were vague and unclear, I'm sure it'll all work out and gas will be cheap again and the war will be over and everyone will be happy. And wait, hold on, I'm getting worried the administration has unveiled a new name for the mission. Oh, it doesn't sound great. Let's see. What is it called? Oh, no. Operation Cluster. Well, that's just bad marketing. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Donald Trump ran on three big priorities: bringing prices down, ending foreign wars, and deporting violent criminals. And as we all know, he's crushing it on all three. There's no war in the Middle East. His immigration policies are a smash hit, and groceries are so cheap, they're paying us to take them. Point is, everything's awesome, which is why I was shocked when I saw the president's latest poll numbers.
A record high that no one wants. That is where President Trump's disapproval rating stands this morning. A new Washington Post ABC News Ipsos poll showing Trump's disapproval rating at a record 62%, an all-time high for the survey's history. President Trump's numbers souring over inflation and cost of living, as the average price of gas now reaches $4.46 a gallon across the country. That's nearly $1.50 more per gallon since the start of the war with Iran.
Trump's disapproval is at an all-time high, higher than COVID and January 6th, a virus and a riot. That's how much people hate high gas prices. Trump could release an army of bats infected with COVID to attack the Capitol, to fly away with Ted Cruz. But if gas prices were under $2, voters would be like, hey, it could be worse. He loves to travel. So Trump's disapproval is at an all-time high of 62%. But I just have a quick question for the 37% who approve. What's your deal? Like, I get that, like, you're MAGA, but, like, what do you actually approve of? Is it worth it for you to pay high gas prices if it means liberals also pay high gas prices? Is that how much you want to own the libs at the cost of owning thyself? I mean, seriously, what's left? The dancing? Is that what you like? Because the dancing is the next to go. Have you seen how tired he is? He barely has the energy to get through a meeting in the Oval Office. Dude always looks like my kids when I'm on the last few pages of Goodnight Moon. Seriously, what's your deal? Do you like the corruption, the wars? Oh, do you like his beautiful poetry?
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Does that resonate with you? Because I'm pretty sure he got that from a fortune cookie written by Frankenstein.
This has been What's Your Deal?
Anyway, Trump's disapproval is at an all-time high, which is why Republicans have given up on persuading voters and moved on to a new strategy of rewriting election rules.
President Trump is calling for elections to be thrown out and redone in the wake of last week's Supreme Court decision to strike down one of Louisiana's majority black congressional districts that dealt a severe blow to the Voting Rights Act.
Republicans are now pushing several states across the South to redraw their congressional maps before November's midterm election. So Republicans overnight in Florida passed a new congressional map that would allow Republicans to gain 4 seats in the midterms. South Carolina, Tennessee, and Missouri could try to redraw their maps before voting begins, too.
When the Democrats have the chance, they will end the filibuster. They want to turn America into a one-party nation. They'll pack the Supreme Court. They'll, turn D.C., Puerto Rico into states. They will nationalize our elections, automatic registration, mail-in balloting. So we need to stop them.
That's your nightmare scenario? Automatic voter registration? That sounds awesome. It shouldn't be harder to vote than it is to gamble on sports. And yet, to register to vote, you have to fill out a 6-part form with your DMV number, proof of residency. But to gamble on sports, all you have to do is open your phone, wait for a notification from FanDuel, and be willing to get divorced. And should anyone run into my wife, the Kentucky Derby is next week, okay? Don't you dare tell her the race happened already. You let her enjoy her Mother's Day. It's our last one before we have to sell the kids. So Republicans want to redraw congressional maps and pass restrictive new voter ID laws, but they can't even explain those laws in a way that makes sense.
There's a lot of things that we can be doing, like voter ID. Like every time you walk into a restaurant or a club, you have to show your ID.
No, you don't. You have to show your ID to buy alcohol, but not to walk into a restaurant. They don't card you at the door at Outback Steakhouse, although personally, I think you should have to be over 18 to eat a blooming onion because it is better than sex. Oh, man, it is so good to say that out loud finally, you know, after they said it was too weird to be a Subway take. Also, there are plenty of restaurants that don't even serve alcohol, much to my dismay. You know how many times I've walked into a Friendly's and asked for a shot of bourbon in my fribble? Hey, don't judge me. If you were there with two boys and their friends arguing over whether fire Pokemon are more valuable than water Pokemon, you'd want bourbon in your fribble, too. Point is, Republicans are reeling from bad poll numbers on the Iran war and the economy, a situation that's so bad, it's toppling major airlines.
Breaking news this morning, Spirit Airlines is announcing it's shutting down. The ultra-low-cost airline making the announcement early this morning saying all flights have been canceled, telling guests to not go to the airport.
After 34 years, Spirit Airlines is no more, posting a message overnight that it was ceasing operation, all flights canceled, and there is no customer service. So if you're holding a ticket, you will have to reach out to other airlines.
Now, the airline's parent company is saying it has already, quote, started an orderly wind down of operations effective immediately.
Only Spirit could cancel all flights and tell customers not to come to the airport and also describe it as an orderly wind down. But, you know, compared to a normal Spirit flight, that kind of is orderly. Spirit flights, God bless them, were chaos. Running down the jetway to get a seat in overhead space was like racing through an obstacle course on Wipeout. Here's the thing, though. We make plenty of jokes about Spirit on this show. Spirit, it's like UFC, but in the air. But it was a budget airline that employed 17,000 people and made flying affordable for millions more. But now it's out of business due to high fuel costs caused by the Iran war, or as Trump put it recently, Obama.
Spirit is an airline that's had some trouble. They were going to merge with People Express, or one of them, a number of years ago, and Barack Hussein Obama decided it was a bad idea. How did that work out?
Yes, we all remember when Obama stopped Spirit from merging with People Express, an airline that ceased operations in 1987. Which makes sense when you realize Trump's brain also ceased operations in 1987.
Spirit, you know, Spirit was going to merge with People Express, and then when that fell through, they almost had to deal with Panda Express, which made sense because Panda Express is already at the airport, and who wouldn't get excited about a panda pilot? Beautiful panda bear with a little pilot's cap, but Obama said no because Obama hates fun.
Also, a good bellwether as to how much bull Trump is dealing is if he's using the Hussein middle name in Barack Obama. He's so bummed Joe Biden didn't have a foreign-sounding middle name he could lean on. Although Joe Biden's real middle name is Robinette, and I'm kind of surprised Trump never used that. You know, the country is a bank and Joe Biden is Robinette. Joe Robinette Biden. Over the weekend, Trump officials were asked about the collapse of Spirit and said, don't worry, you guys, don't worry, there are still other airlines.
In the statement Spirit released explaining why they were shutting down, they said, quote, the sudden and sustained rise in fuel prices in recent weeks ultimately has left us with no alternative. Are other industries also at risk of collapse, or other major companies, due to this energy shock?
Well, don't forget that the Spirit Airlines was Chapter 11 twice because they basically didn't have a business model that was working. That's right. And the other airlines are still operating. I just flew out here to discuss these matters at the Milken Conference in LA, on United Airlines, and the other airlines are operating.
That doesn't make it better. If a restaurant in your neighborhood burns down, the fire department doesn't say, relax, there's a Chili down the block. Just bring your ID, because eating those baby back ribs is basically So Trump's Iran war is spiking fuel prices and destroying airlines. Can you at least tell us how long this war will last, or if it's even a war at all?
You said the blockade is still on. A blockade is an act of war. Are we at war with Iran?
Iran shut down the straits.
Right.
And the only ones they were letting through were Iranian ships, and President Trump didn't think that was acceptable.
So we are still at war with Iran.
I don't know what the definition of war is when we're not shooting and we're negotiating.
You don't know what the definition of war? Did Merriam-Webster also go bankrupt? Also, the answer is yes. We're at war. A blockade is an act of war. If I park my car in front of my neighbor's driveway and refuse to let him in or out, that's an act of war against my neighbor. And I will admit I did that once, but only because I had one too many bourbon fribbles. So now a major airline has collapsed due to rising fuel costs caused by an unpopular war started by Donald Trump, which means, of course, and I know you're all thinking this, so say it with me, it's Joe Biden's fault. All right, nobody said it.
Spirit tried to merge with JetBlue. The Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg administration and DOJ tanked that deal. Immediately after that, they filed for bankruptcy. They were having financial problems. Martha, they filed for bankruptcy again last year. They were bleeding money. And so this was in the works for some time.
Spirit Airlines closed operations. The Treasury was supposed to be doing a deal to save this company. Can you tell us what happened?
Sure, Maria. So this is just more of the mess we inherited from the Biden administration.
Maria, it's just more of the mess we inherited from the Biden administration. I'm so angry I can't even open my mouth. Maria, my jaw is permanently clenched because of how outraged I am about Joe Biden causing the collapse of Spirit Airlines 15 months after he left office. So that's why I talk like I just ate a jar of peanut butter mixed with sand. You guys can blame Joe Biden for the collapse of Spirit all you want. No one's buying it, mainly because Joe Biden wasn't an airplane guy. He was a train guy. We all know that. No, Joe, I was best friends with Jesse James. Yeah. That's how I got my middle name. I told Jesse, when I see a train, Jesse, when I see a train, I'm robbing it. I'm not kidding around. Trump's desperate for a way out of this mess, which is why he keeps announcing new fake solutions to the crisis he started that don't make sense and catch everyone off guard.
President Trump announces Project Freedom, a U.S. military plan starting today that will offer what's being described as a defensive umbrella to help cargo ships pass safely through the strait.
You said the hostilities in Iran that started have been terminated. How can you say that given that the naval blockade is still being militarily enforced?
Well, it's a very friendly blockade.
A friendly block? Is there such a thing? I mean, what would you even call a friendly block? Oh, a fribble. It's a friendly blockade, a fribble, if you will. Friendly blockade sounds like slang for when a girl at a bar needs a friend to come over and get her away from an annoying guy. Quick, this guy just asked me to do whippets with him. He said nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. I need a friendly blockade. But you heard him, financial markets, it's a friendly blockade, everything's chill. Tankers should start going through the Strait of Hormuz without issue any minute now. Now we all just sit back and watch gas prices plummet.
The ceasefire between the United States and Iran under strain right now as we've learned that both sides have traded shots in the Strait of Hormuz. It began after the U.S. began guiding vessels through the waterway, including 2 U.S.-flagged commercial ships. In response, U.S. Central Command says that Tehran launched multiple cruise missiles, drones, and small boats. The U.S. says it's blown up at least 6 of those Iranian small boats.
I spoke with President Trump for 20 minutes about the situation with Iran. He talked about Project Freedom and the U.S. efforts to guide vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, issuing a new warning to the Iranian regime, saying if the Iranians try to target U.S. ships in this area, they will be, quote, blown off the face of the earth.
What happened to the friendly blockade? Trump's dumb plan went south faster than Spirit Airlines. Although, is that the solution? We just send a bunch of decommissioned Spirit planes to the Strait, load them up with oil, and see what happens? Trump got himself into this mess thinking it'd be quick and easy, and now he's spiraling. He can't get himself out of it. Americans are overwhelmingly against it. If the election were held today, it's very likely voters would send Trump packing with a one-way ticket on his favorite functioning airline,
People Express.
This has been a closer look.